Hello, and welcome to the Investor's Opinion. Is Niu Technologies a good investment? Now, before I get into whether or not it is a good investment or not, I'd like to say thank you so much for all the views, comments, and likes that you guys have left on my last two videos. It's helped me a lot, and keeping me a lot more motivated to keep on top of these videos in the future. So if you guys could leave a like, drop that subscribe button for the next video, and also leave any comments with stuff you love, like, don't like, would wish to be changed, like the music. I won't be putting any music on this video as there was quite a few people saying, they didn't really like it. We'll go from here and see what else we can change to make this a better and more enjoyable viewing experience. Now getting into Niu Technologies. Niu Technologies is a company that designs electric vehicles, specifically scooters and motorbikes. Now, at the moment, the only range they have right now are these amazing scooters. They're incredible and quite revolutionary as well. Their batteries and their ranges for these smaller vehicles in the EV range are actually quite phenomenal, as opposed to what the cars used to be like when they were first released and people were going, for the price, that's not really valuable, is it? But now these scooters are finally getting there. And this company has not only done so with all these amazing features at a really reasonable cost, and clearly at a pretty decent quality as well. Now that I've explained briefly about what the company does, I'd like to go into our classic qualitative and then quantitative analysis. So on this channel, on our qualitative analysis, we go through a standard SWOT analysis. That is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we'll start off with their strength. Niu Technologies has not only riding the tailwinds of the industry's growth, the sectorial growth that is coming from the electronic vehicle industry and the clean energy headwinds and the subsidies and policymakers. They are all massive tailwinds for this particular company. All these catalysts, these positive catalysts, will benefit this company in the long run as well as the short term. And that's why at the very moment in time, when we go to the quantifiables, I will talk about why the PE ratio is so high. Currently they operate in Europe and in Asia. And these are probably some of the best metropolitan areas to sell these particular products to. These consumers in these areas will lap these products up. These small, compact vehicles on these busy roads where they're looking for cost and efficiency, and also they may want to look at that greener mark on the earth. A lot of people are a little bit more environmentally conscious. Now, from an individual's company's perspective, not only is it now profitable, which has to be absolutely a great strength, this means that their business model in their current form is pretty good. And hopefully they can develop that further. So far, the growth estimates are quite incredible. And I think that's also something we have to look at as a strength for an investment. So far, analytically, growth estimates are quite amazing, not only for earnings, but also for revenue. Now let's talk about specifically the product. Their scooters, are they great? Well, I've watched quite a few review videos, and not only from my own personal experience at being around one of those particular vehicles, they're quite incredible. A lot of people in England and in other metropolitan areas where the price of, I believe, some of their core model ranges are around £3,000 to £3,500 in the UK. A lot of people are seeing great value from vehicles like this. The application, the ability to just wall charge your battery are amazing features for a vehicle that is designed for someone who's looking for a quick, easy form of private transport. So specifically the batteries in these particular models in the Niu Technology bikes are their own specific lithium-based battery packs. Now, they have a 5-year lifespan and they produce enough battery to get some decent range, which we'll go on a little further. I will talk about them in the weakness as anything that limitates anything can be considered a weakness. And in comparison to other companies, yes, EV scooters and bikes are always going to have a smaller range as the battery is just going to be physically smaller. But for the needs, they might be acceptable. These bikes use 2 batteries, both Niu sourced, and both are priced currently on the AliExpress market, if you want to replace them after that 5-year, or if they get damaged, are about 1,250. It's quite reasonable over a 5-year period. And if you're expecting to replace 2, that's essentially just like the value of the bike every 3 years. A little bit more expensive than you think, but when you take away that fuel cost, becomes a lot more viable. Now, I won't go exactly into the math of whether or not it is a viable choice. I think that more people are environmentally conscious. Another great feature of the batteries is that they're portable. They can be taken out of the boot or the wet storage. Unfortunately, a negative, we will get to that. Wet storage is where the battery is held, or one of them. Another battery is also held in the front. They can be taken out and charged individually or charged through the main ports in the bike. Quite a nifty bit of technology and design there to allow these portable replaceable tech. It kind of follows the same business model and structure as Niu does with their replaceable car batteries. Could see a lot of adoption in China. Which is primarily where they're based. Finally, a last strength in this particular company when it comes from an investor's perspective is that the insider shareholders of this company are actually really, really large. This 40% of the company is still owned by its previous CEO, Yang Li. The current CEO is Yan Li. Current CEO owns around 4-ish% of the company, whereas the old CEO owns 40% of the company. These are great statistics, as this basically indicates to the investor that these people with large sums of unrealized capital believe that that capital will be worth more in the future than it does today. And them not selling that, or reported selling it so far, is a fantastic sign for the longevity of the stock price for this company. Now that we've spoken about the strengths, we can go on to the weaknesses. Now we'll talk about range limitations and battery power now as well. Currently, these scooters have a maximum speed of 70 kilometers an hour. Their latest new city bike is going to have a top speed of 100 kilometers an hour. These are perfectly acceptable in a city, in a metropolitan environment, but absolutely not on the open road. These aren't going to be highly demanded outside of huge metropolitan areas. The range for these particular bikes at these top speeds is anywhere between 100 and 140 kilometers on a full battery charge. This would be absolutely okay to drive there to work and back again, and there and back again, and still have enough charge to get it up the driveway. The charge times for these vehicles are also quite good, 3.5 hours to 7 hours for a fully charged 2 cells. All these battery innovations will be great tailwinds for this company in the future as well. We can now look at their opportunities. Now, the opportunities right now are geographic expansion. They need to expand and develop and target new store lines in metropolitan areas or in central cities around the world to expand their consumer base. And they need to be able to price their vehicles effectively to target that market. So currently, they are looking at Asia and Europe. Certain cities in America could greatly benefit from these, and it has already been said by a lot of the people in word of mouth that in San Francisco, the Niu Technology scooters are actually quite popular. And these are great signs of adoptions in the Western world. Lastly, another opportunity that I think is very important to understand with this particular company is that their product line is very finite. They are stuck within their bicycle sort of bubble when it comes to the EVs. They haven't announced any plans to expand their product line into vehicles of the four-wheel nature. However, they have expanded their lineup as of recent discoveries and the thumbnail of this video into city bikes. And these bikes look good. And they have all the bells and whistles that you would like in one of these expensive bikes. And they're quite reasonably priced. Not cheap, but reasonably priced for what they are. Now, lastly, the pessimistic one, threats. This company, Niu Technologies, is subject to whoever is in the market at the time in that geographical location. If they're being beaten in technology and in value, they're likely going to do worse off than others. If a major company began to, like Hyundai, began to produce electric bikes of a similar quality, technological prowess, and value, then we may see some problems when it comes to this 5-year growth target that many analysts have given this company. However, Niu Technologies is the leading scooter manufacturer in the EV industry. And I think that's something that is a great reason to invest in a company if you're looking for one of those EV, clean, sustainable automotive companies right now. Not only do they make a profit and their product line is amazing, but so is their market position. Another one, and I hate to mention it because I don't want to perpetuate the stigma that is Chinese companies in the current marketplace, but they are a Chinese company. And this is something that as investors, we need to understand that the sentiment, though possibly racist and very incredibly stereotypical, or some form of stereotype being formed, that Chinese companies are somewhat fraudulent, is currently rampant in the marketplace to some degree. I don't support the stigma, but there's something that you need to understand, that the tensions between China and the US have been growing for quite some time now, especially on an economic point of view, and there may be provisions and policies in place that may affect your shares of owning Niu as a shareholder. Kind of delve deeper and more formally as we kind of make more and more videos. When doing a quantifiable analysis on a company like Niu Technologies, the first and most important thing is that we must identify what the company is in respect to the investor sentiment. Currently, the market cap for Niu Technologies is just under $1.5 billion. This is a small cap stock and should be traded respectfully of that. As it has now got a profit, I think we can now label it as a growth stock. This is no longer something that is speculative anymore. The business model has been proven, it works. So we'll look at the debt first. Currently, I'm going to do all these numbers in Chinese values because it's so much easier because they are a Chinese company. You can convert them in the future, but just kind of looking at the proportionality of them all and the multiples is probably more important than actually understanding exactly how much there is. Currently, this debt is really, really small. They have a fantastic balance sheet. We have this much debt and this much cash on hand. That's a lot more cash on hand than debt. It's something that's a great sign. It means that no matter what their short or long-term debt obligations are, they can cover that. They're also a profitable company, which means that they will be getting some amount of free cash flow, hopefully somewhat consistently in the future. Maybe not so far now due to the COVID-19 crisis. However, it is also something to note that from a sectorial point of view, a lot of these EV companies may get huge tailwinds from this particular black swan event. So why I want to say that this company is recently profitable is because just as of the last 12 months, the company has made a free cash flow of, and this is fantastic. This means that the money they're getting in now is something that they can use to pay off not only debt, but also expand and develop and create more products. The company's IBIT is 25%. It's a little on the weaker side for a company in this particular situation, but we can probably just chalk this up to the current economic climate. You know, with profits and revenue and earnings growing at such forecasted extreme rates, this may not be so much of an issue. It's just a good little, I wouldn't say red flag, but something to keep a note of. Just for reference point, this company's discounted cash flow punches out a value of $3 a share. That would sound about right considering it's only recently just become profitable. It has quite a bit of debt, quite a bit of cash, but its free cash flow is essentially nothing. I think we should be looking at the fact is that they achieved profitability more than what the discounted cash flow actually gives us. The PE of this company is trading at a whopping 76 times its earnings, and that's not inherently too bad. A 50% revenue increase forecast for the next 5 years annually is quite an incredible one, and if that is to be true or even somewhat half true, this PE ratio will be pushed back down to the industry average, which I believe is somewhere around 35%. Currently, if we look at the chart, as you can see, currently the RSI is giving us quite a bullish indicator. We have a great fundamental flooring for growth right here, and as you can see for a period of time now, the stock has been going upwards. Whether or not it's due for a pullback back down to its 200 or 50 MA is arguable. However, due to the fact that this is such a low cap stock and so early in its trading life and has just reached profitability, some of these technical elements may be completely void or moot, as this stock could make crazy moves depending on the information that is provided and current future dealings or future capital expansion. So I wouldn't look too hard into it. However, if you were looking to try and get it for a good value, I would look at trying to get it under a 35 multiple of PE. However, due to the current market movements, I would find it hard to somewhat see it pulling back to something of that level. I could see it pulling it back and maybe going stagnant for some time, and that's when it might reach that PE value over its next quarterly earnings report or next few quarterly earnings report. The current stock price right now is within an acceptable range to purchase. I think that anything between $15 and $22 at this current time would be something of a good purchase if you were looking at the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So now finally, I'm just going to do a little bit of a technical analysis. I'm not really big on technicals, but I do love to look at them to give me a kind of a broader understanding about where the price movement is going. The 200 moving average and the 50 moving average on this particular scale of graph, we can see it's basically exploding upwards and moving quite far away from it. Generally, stocks like to bounce off, move and crash through and come back up through these particular moving averages as the stock moves forward, it's a great indication to see it unless there is a fundamental change to the business or a huge new sentiment. It's looking great. There is a definite uptrend in the short term, and in the medium term it's looking still quite bullish. Long term also, I would say it's still got quite bullish indicators. If you were to buy today, you would be definitely not looking at getting the best value for your dollar. But if you're looking at buying a little bit later, maybe at the next significant pullback, you may be able to catch this company for quite good value. So that's my analysis on Niu Technologies. I really like their products. I think it's just super fun and cool to see these new innovative technologies finally be implemented into other forms. Still like the idea of having these personal private vehicles that may not be self-driving but have all the other bells and whistles too. Well, thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you did make it to the end, could you please drop a like or a dislike if you liked or disliked it? And if you could drop a comment for any other questions or commentary, or just if you want to have a chat with me. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and good hunting.